This is the first lesson for the Math 20-3 curriculum on the strand called number. And when we talk about number, we're going to be talking primarily about financial decisions. So we're going to be talking about money. The first lesson is going to be all relating to going into a bank and choosing the right bank account for you. So when you go into a bank, they're going to have a whole bunch of different savings and checkings accounts for you to choose from, and it's up to you to make an informed decision on which one best suits your needs and which one will actually save you the most money, because banks do charge fees for certain types of transactions. So for this unit, we're going to be talking about this fictitious bank called Northwest Bank of Canada, and they have 4 different accounts that we can talk about: a value account, a self-service account, a full service account, and a bonus savings account. So we're going to go through and just examine what each of these mean and how they actually relate to your banking experience at this bank. So if you had a value account, every month they're going to charge you $3.90 to have that account there. But this next row says they're going to waive that fee. So basically not charge it if you can keep a minimum of $1,000 in there each month. And in this account, you're allowed to do 10 self-service transactions. Now, self-service, it's explained in the fine print down here. Self-service is basically anything that you don't need to talk to somebody in the bank about. So you can go to a bank machine, which is an ATM. You could do it online. You could do it by telephone, or just depositing money through any one of those means, or taking money out. So that's a self-service, paying bills online and things like that. So you're allowed 10 self-service fees. If you go over that amount, they're going to charge you 50 cents for each time you go over 10 self-service transactions. And if you go to the bank and actually need some help from a teller in the bank, they're going to charge you $1. And if you go to a bank machine that's actually not part of the Northwest Bank of Canada, they're going to charge you $1.50 on top of all your other fees. So that is the value account. The self-service account has a little bit higher of a monthly fee, $10.90. But if you're under 18, they're going to give you 50% off of that. So it's going to cost you $5.45 if you're under 18. And they won't charge you anything if you can keep $1,500 in there, minimum each month. So if you can keep above $1,500, they're not going to charge you that $10.90 or the $5.45 if you're under 18. With this account, you also get 25 self-service, so online bank machine kind of transactions. Every time you go over 25, they charge you 50 cents for each time you go over. Same thing, they charge you $1 if you need to actually go and talk to a teller in the bank. And if you don't use one of their bank machines, they charge you $1.50. The full service account, you can see this is the most expensive account out there, $24.50. And they'll waive that fee if you can keep $2,000 in your bank account every month. So as long as you don't dip below 2,000, they're going to not charge you that $24.50. But this is why you're paying for more. You get 40 self-service or teller assisted, so 40 combined, 40 at a bank machine or online, plus the teller thing. So you get 40 combined, and they'll give you a credit card for no fee. And if you go over those 40, they're going to charge you 25 cents per transaction. And the last one, the bonus savings account, they don't charge you anything. So they don't care if you keep a minimum balance in there or not, because they're not charging you anything to begin with. That you only are allowed 2 debit transactions. Now, debit means you're only allowed to take money out of your account twice in that month. So this is a true savings account. They assume that you're not going to be taking more money out. It's not a day-to-day account. It's something that you use to save money. If you need to go to a teller or you need a self-service fee, it's going to cost you $1.25 each time to do that. They have no fee for using someone else's bank machine, and they also give you interest on the money that you have in there. All these other accounts, you just put it in, you're getting no interest. You're not making any money for saving it. But this last one, you get to save some money. So in our case with these fake bank accounts, this is what we're talking about. We have these 4, and we're going to be using this information throughout this unit of this fake bank and these 4 fictitious bank accounts. So we're going to have to use that table to answer this next question. Saying in one month, Mary makes 2 deposits 5 cash withdrawals at Northwest Bank ATMs, and she pays 4 bills online. So if we think of these are all self-service things she's doing. She's not talking to a teller at all. So we're going to say she's doing 2 deposits. She has 5 cash withdrawals. That means she takes money out of the bank machine. And she's also paying 4 bills, but she's doing those 4 bills online. So this is a total of 11 transactions, but they're all self-service. So she's not going to a teller at all. The other thing this question says is that she manages to always keep over $1,000 in there. So she has $1,000 plus in this account. Now remember, this will waive the fees at some of her banks. Okay, the last thing is saying, you know what, tell me how much she actually pays for each one of those accounts if she was trying to determine which one to use. And at the end, we actually have to tell her which account would you advise her, which one's the best bet for her to save money. So we're going to talk about these 4 bank accounts. So we'll start a table. We're going to say she had the value one, then there was the self-serve account, there was the full-serve account, and then there was that bonus savings account at the end. And we're going to figure out how much it's going to cost her to bank if this is what her typical month sort of looks like. So the first thing we want to consider is she being charged any fees at these accounts? Now remember, the value account on the other page said as long as she keeps $1,000 in there, she's not going to have to pay a fee. So we go over here. The question does say she has $1,000, so her fees are going to cost her nothing. In the self-serve account, if we flash back here, the self-serve account, she needs to keep $10.90 in there. Or sorry, she needs to keep $1,500 in there. If she doesn't, they'll charge her $10.90. And if she's under 18, they're going to charge her half that fee. So definitely they're going to charge her a fee because she's only keeping $1,000 in that account. And in the question, if we look, it doesn't say that she's a student. So she's going to have to pay the $10.90 a month because she goes out under $1,500. The full service, a lot of jumping around for this table, but the full service account, she needs to keep $2,000 in there. And she's not doing that, so she's going to have to pay the $2,450. We might as well look at the bonus savings account at the same time. There's never a fee associated with that. So when we go back to the full service account, she's definitely going to have to pay the $2,450, and here they charge her absolutely nothing. So her fees, that's what's coming up. Now we're going to talk about her actual transactions. Now her transactions were all self-serve, and if we look, we had 11 of them. So if we consider again how much she's going over these, we'll flip back to the chart again. On the value added account, she was allowed 10 of them. So she's one over, and she's going to have to pay 50 cents for going one over. On the other account that was beside it, the self-service account, she's allowed 25. So she's not over there. She's not over here, but she definitely is over in the bonus savings account. So we'll look at that cost. She's going to be charged $1.25 per over her 2 debit transactions. So going back, she has 11 in the value added account. That's one over, so she's going to have to pay the 50 cents for this. Self-serve, she was allowed 25. Here, she was allowed 40, so she's not going over at all. And now on this bonus savings, she was 9 over. She was only allowed 2 transactions, and she had 11, so she's 9 over. So she's actually going to have to pay 9 times, it's $1.25 per transaction. So this is actually going to end up costing her $11.25. So if we were to do the totals for each bank account, this guy is only going to cost her 50 cents based on what she did this month. This guy is going to cost her $10.90. This guy will cost her $24.50. And the bonus savings account is going to cost her $11.25. So those are fees for each of those accounts based on the information they provided. Now we have to tell her which account to choose. Definitely this has the lowest cost. So we say Mary should choose the value account. And bear in mind that if you're actually choosing an account, you have to think of what am I going to do each month? Because definitely there'll be some months where you go over your transactions. Maybe some months you're not doing much banking, but you have to think in general, if I was to look at this, which one of these would give me the best value every single month, not just in one particular month. But based on what we see here, the value added account is going to be her best bet. Now we have the last example where it's saying Unani's accounting, he's doing transactions of the past month, he has the value added account. And saying how much does he pay in extra transaction fees? That's question A. Question B, what will his balance be at the end of the month? So we have a lot of work here to go through and figure out based on the value added account what's going on. So just a rundown, the value account, he was allowed 10 transactions. He had to keep $1,000 in that account, and if he didn't, they'd charge him $3.90. And he has to pay 50 cents per self-serve transaction he goes over, and I believe it was $1 for each time he sees a teller. So we have to go through and think, how much is he actually going to pay in extra transaction fees? So these right here are his transactions, the description of what he does and actually the amount that he takes out. This is an amount column. Deposit means money going into your account, so we add this on, and then the balance is basically what's left at the end after each transaction. So let's go through and think of his transaction fees, and we'll add them up here. Oh, and there's also this one. As I start to look, they charge him, let's go back and look at that table. For a non-bank account, they're going to charge him $1.50 every time he uses a bank machine from a different bank. So that's another $1.50 for bank machines that aren't his bank. So let's go through and figure out what his totals are actually going to be. So looking at this table that was provided, if we counted each one of these as a transaction, if we counted all of these up, there's a total of 14 transactions. So in question A, we'll be saying, well, he has 14 transactions, and he was only allowed 10. So he's actually 4 over. So they're going to charge him for 4 extra transactions, and each extra transaction costs 50 cents. So he's going to have to take 4 times 50 cents. So that's $2 just in extra transaction fees. If we look through the rest, remember self-serve ones here were free over, as long as you don't go over 10. So right here, he has the ATM at not his bank. We should look to see if there's another one of those anywhere that's not his bank. There isn't. So he has one transaction at a different bank, and that's this fee here. So they're going to charge him one of those at $1.50, which means he has to pay $1.50 for that extra transaction. And the only other fee that we could see here so far is if he goes and uses a teller. So if we look, here's a teller, one of them, and there's another teller where he actually went into the bank and talked to somebody else. So the transaction fees, he has 2 teller fees, and each of the teller fees were $1. So 2 times $1 is $2. So his total just on transaction fees, if we add those up, is $5.50. Now that's just for doing his transactions. That has nothing to do with the bank fees because they might still charge him that $3.90 if he goes under $1,000 in his account. Now that deals with question B. What will his balance be at the end of the month? So we're going to go through, we're going to crunch these numbers. This part's going to be a little painful, but you need your calculator out. We're going to put in the information that we need to know. And we'll work through this together. So we're starting here on this line. First off, in my calculator, I'm going to say he had $4,398. Oops, $4,398.40. And then we're going to go through and figure out everything that we could put in each one of these lines here. Okay, so we're starting at $43.98. The first thing it says is he does a cash withdrawal of $100. So in your calculator, take away 100, enter. After that, he has $42.98.40. Now he goes to another bank machine and he takes out his $40. So we're going to subtract another $40 from here. And that gets me $42.58.40. And just know when we're talking about money, money always has two decimal places. So although the calculator only shows me 0.4, I know that's 40 cents. We do know that there's a fee associated with this because it's at a different account. So we'll take that off at the end because the bank will charge them those transaction fees at the end. Another withdrawal here of $12.95. So I take away a $12.95 and I get $42.45. And then he buys some groceries for $174. So I subtract the 174.32, and that means he's at $4,071.13. And now it's saying the ATM, he's depositing, he's putting money in. He got a birthday gift of $50. So in here, we add $50. So his account now goes up to $41.21.13. So a deposit goes in, a withdrawal goes out. So right now you should pause the video and work through getting the numbers in these spots. I'm going to tell you to pause the video, and when you unpause it, they'll be filled in and we'll talk about what the numbers should be. So hopefully you pause the video, added and subtracted for the withdrawals, added for the deposits. There's 2 paychecks that would go into his account. So at the end of this reporting period here, you should have seen that he has a balance of $3,891.51. So that would be adding and subtracting. This is how much money is in there. But now we got to answer question B. It's saying, what will his balance be at the end of the month? Now his balance is the $38.91.51. However, we've already determined that he has $5.50 worth of bank fees, and then we should also consider, are they actually going to charge him $3.90, because that is the monthly account, or sorry, the monthly fee on this account, but he has to keep $1,000 in there. There's nowhere in the balance that he goes under $1,000, so they're not charging him that fee. So if I go and subtract those, and again, $38.91.51 minus the $5.50, that means at the end of this statement, taking away his bank fees, he's going to have $3,886.01, because we took into account his bank fees. They didn't charge him a monthly fee, and it did tell us that that was actually the value-added account. So this is how we can go through and do the bank statements. We can go through and compare different bank accounts when we walk into a bank.